I really like the man that I am now because of those things. I think that's why you are a good person, because it makes living life a lot easier and more peaceful. Because if you are shady and you lie a lot and that kind of stuff, you have to keep up with those lies. So that's why I do the things like teach and do art. And I'll never let Hollywood decide my fate. My fascination is forgotten technology. I've often said, I used to think that I would want to go back to like Victorian times or something like that, but I don't think that I'd be able to tolerate the smells.
I'm telling you, man.
Hey, dude, cheers, bro.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers, mi amigo. Look at us.
I know, right? This is not a long time coming. We kind of said a couple months ago, hey, let's make it happen, and it's finally happened. So that's what's up.
Said that you would let my family go if I did this finally. So I'm just begging you to just let them go. I'll do my best.
But I'm gonna do because whenever I have guests, like I said, I love to give a semi-intro. Oh, dude, play with the camera. I do it all the time. For you at home, to me, my guest needs no introduction. He's done tons of amazing stuff that makes him on the map, Hollywood-wise. But to me, you're a true artist, and you were telling me an amazing story, and I hope you'll share it with me. But you're an artist that happens to act.
According to my son, yes. Because that's what, he's 11, almost 12. And the best part of my acting career was in the 90s, right? So way before, and maybe early 2000s. And so although he knows I do act, and he knows that I'm in things that, he sees how people act around me at conventions. And so he knows there must be something to it. But for him, he has mostly seen me teach acting. He has seen me mostly sell paintings, And so I was talking about being an actor one day, and he goes, well, actually, you're really more like an artist who acts sometimes. And I was like, man.
Sometimes. You got to throw that in there.
Nailed it, kid. And I love that, I think there are some people that might take offense to something like that. Like they're might feel like it's an insult. But to me, being an artist means being all encompassing. I'm a musician. I paint, I do all kinds of things.
You're a very artistic individual. You're spatially minded. I can see that in your head. You can visualize it to an nth degree, and then you just make it happen.
Thank you.
And to me, that's an artist. It doesn't matter what your medium is. If you can see it and then you can make it, that's art, because that's your heart, that's your soul. You just put your passion into it.
I've also would have starved if I didn't. So there's desperation leads to some really good, you figure some things out about yourself, man.
Bro, I could tell you some
I never would have
stories
seen
about
it. But no, I'm kidding. But we all have phases in our careers, and I've got to learn that I'm a really good teacher. I've got to learn that I'm a good painter. I've got to learn that I make pepper jelly. I've all these things that I never would have thought that I could do if I didn't just get out of Hollywood and get back in the world.
That's what cracks me up is the few celebrities, in a sense, that have done the Hollywood thing and preach very much. If you knew what it was really like, not everybody would want to be a celebrity.
I think that if you knew what it was, I think that the better way to think of it is if you knew what it was like and you have the maturity to understand what it means, then you can handle Hollywood. But I think that it gets to be a little bit overwhelming and disillusioning, especially for a young mind that's still developing, whenever you're still a teenager and you're making more money than most grown men.
Right.
And then you work consistently like I did for a long time. You tend to think that it's never going to stop,
Yeah, I get that.
And I don't think that's a healthy frame of mind. I think always living like it's probably going to stop tomorrow it's a much better way to approach life, because then you're less arrogant, you're less entitled, But that's the lessons we learn growing up.
Well, you said maturity. And I
Yes.
think that's a huge part of it.
Yes.
Maturity doesn't mean that you've aged per se. It means that you've had experiences that you've actually learned from them.
Yes, I'm 53 now, and so I really like the man that I am now because of those things.
Dude, that's awesome.
Because I know I'm not going to be doing any like just make I'm not going to be going out to nightclubs and drinking and worrying about women and letting them wreck my lives and my life and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I get to focus on my
Right.
kids now. I get to focus on my
Yes.
career now and my job and my other businesses that I'm a part of. And to me, that's so much more satisfying. You know, as a somebody that as an artist, we can be hard on ourselves.
So my last company I had was a restaurant, and it was my passion. That was my art, making the food. Like, I just threw
Absolutely.
everything to it. I could see it come to fruition. I made it come to fruition, every inch of it. And I was spending so much time being focused on that. I started to realize, I wasn't spending enough time with the kids. So I stopped working as much, and then also incorporated them coming to work with me and teaching them what it is to actually have to do something. So I was, at least for me, I was fortunate enough that, still I was just turning 40 when I realized that. So my kids were starting to really have some good memories, and I wasn't being a part of it. And it's just like, oh crap, I am
Yeah,
busting
those
my
years don't
hump.
come
Like,
back. If that's the one thing that I've, had revelations about as I've gotten older is, those little people that we fell in love with when they're little, they're not that person goes away and then they become a different person and then that person goes away and then they become a different person and that person goes away. And it's heartbreaking and you know, we always want to keep them young or whatever, but you get to a point where you are like, well, for myself anyway, where it's far more important for me to lead by example and have my kids respect who I am, rather than be that broken actor that
yeah.
dies in an alley somewhere because he couldn't get over himself.
You're right. End up on like
I'm a
E True Hollywood
star.
Story.
Don't you know who I think I am? I'm a star.
Well, yeah, because then you get all those types. They do all the different TV shows that they have for all that crap, and I'm just like, I can't watch them. I don't
I
even
think
watch
if it starts
TV.
too early, it's not a good
Yeah,
thing.
right.
You see so many young actors that have just been wrecked by. You get that kind of money and power when you're early, and then if it goes away, or you start getting bad reviews, or like you get bad press or anything like that, it's a huge fall. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like all of our lives are open books. Everybody's got their nose in our business at all times, and I tell you, man. I grew up on a cattle ranch in Oklahoma. I was way more comfortable doing stuff like that, you know what I mean, than having people's nose in my business all the time. That's why now I do this amazing, I work with Oscar in Pennsylvania and we do this tree work and the stone veneer stuff. And I just opened a restaurant called Tortugas. I mean, to me, doing anything other than acting, but also still getting to act is what kind of keeps me even really wanting to act, really, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
I kind of want to pass the torch to my sons
Oh, nice.
uh,
Heck yeah.
when they're capable.
Dude, that's what's up. Yeah, I think that's I think that's indicative of pretty much any parent that feels very accomplished and has they're proud of what they've done or created. They want to be able to share that, and because they know what passion comes from that. So I mean, yeah, I very much understand that kind of a thing, because I'm a big car guy, so I've done a lot of like car stuff. I've had my own shops. I've built tons of cars or whatever. I always took my kiddos with me just to be like, hey, this is what dad does.
Well, it's good for them to understand where it is you go every day. So there's
Yeah.
not a sort of like a sense of abandonment. They know what you're up
You're
to.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I grew
no.
up with very hardworking parents, and so I've just always understood that humans work until they get real old, and like apparently then they just you know die.
I was say do nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do nothing then die.
pretty much.
Yeah, that won't be me. That won't be me.
Right?
No way.
Yeah. No, kids are the if it wasn't for my children, I wouldn't be the man I am
Brother,
today.
I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for my children.
You know, and I tell them that, and I always tell them how grateful and appreciative I am for them and what they do and just being in my life. And
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I could see their moms are, especially my oldest, is a handful, was a handful. You sometimes can go back and be like, would you? There are relationships you might regret, but I could never regret any of it because I have this beautiful child with her, and so I always will have a certain amount of love in my heart for and both of the mothers of my children.
I
But
mean, as you
I'm really
should.
close to Wyatt's mom. She's my agent actually, so we're super close.
So
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. All
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah,
dude, that's nice.
yeah.
I mean, but I think that goes to the extension of you said the word maturity before. That shows maturity. It shows that you can understand, set boundaries, and have expectations and work within those constraints. And you're not going to have any gripes with that. You're just like, well, this is just how you be a good person.
I think that's why you are a good person because it makes living life a lot easier and more peaceful. Because if you are shady and you lie a lot and that kind of stuff, you have to keep up with those lies.
No
You have to
shit.
keep up with, if you're grifting, you have to keep up with the grift. You have to keep up with whatever shady thing that is on a daily basis, just completely like chipping away at your karma. And, chickens always come home to roost, man. But I know
Yeah.
the one thing's true in this world, it's karma.
I back in the day, being a younger kid, just doing stupid shit. Yeah, I did and said some stuff, and
Did you learn from it?
dude, I can't live a life like that. That's
Did you
what I
learn? Did
learned.
you learn from it?
Oh, of course I did.
Then it was worth it, and that was what the
Yeah.
universe was teaching you at the time. We don't always know it in the moment, right? Sometimes we can feel so cursed or whatever, but sometimes those lessons that we're learning in those moments make us better people later on whenever our kids need us to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's why I was saying like to have that like passion to be able to pass it on to your kids and see them to learn from what you did so they can be better than you and enjoy life more. And
Yes.
I don't know, I want, but it's kind of funny as I realized that for my girls, I got to a place where it's like, I don't just want it for them. I want it for everybody. And so, that's why it's like I have to be honest, and not even just because to me it's the right thing to do. It's like I have to be honest because that's the only way I can live my life.
Well, it's lovely if you're at a place where you can do that because we always have to take care of ourselves first. Yeah, we have to remember that, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a plane and you need oxygen, you got to put oxygen mask on your self first, so you can take care of the people that you love, right?
Yeah.
And so I think maturing is also realizing that in order to take care of others, you have to take care of yourself.
That was always my biggest problem. I was such like a people pleaser, and I still kind of am, but to the degree that like you're saying, I got to take care of me first. So that's been a really hard lesson for me is where's that boundary? What's
Well, I've
me
always been the
being
same way, but
selfish
we're always the
or
ones that wind up, I guess I'd say getting hurt the most because we become sort of easy targets because I think people a lot of times mistake kindness for weakness,
that's one of my
you
favorite
know,
sayings.
and
And there's a lot of truth in that. And I mean, as a people pleaser, you very much get into that rhythm where it's just that feels it becomes that habit and you don't even think about it anymore and you just do it. That's not healthy at all, bro. Like, and
no,
it took me a long time to realize like I'm just now in the past couple of years starting to focus more on like, all right, I got to take care of me. That's why I'm like my balance at this point is where's that line of am I being selfish or am I still just being enough of attention on me that I can be, selfless?
right. Well, life is finite, and so it's how much time do we need to spend on figuring out who we are to understand that we need to be able to focus on ourselves first to be able to focus on those around us and then focus on the people that are immediately important to us before we start giving that away to outside people, other relationships. It's one of the reasons why I'm single and I'm happily single and I'm going to stay single for a while because for now, my children get all of that energy,
Heck yeah,
you
dude.
know? And I know they're not going to break my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope not.
They're,
Oh, that would
for
crush me.
now, I'm not, gosh, I'm not trying to foresee the future. I know that anything can happen, but they've both been raised in very healthy environments,
Good.
and I'm happy with who they are, and I think that says a lot about who I am, and so I can be proud of myself for that, and I feel that is a much better accomplishment than anything I've ever done in a movie.
Yeah, and that's like I said earlier. I am the man I am because of my girls. Like they're the reasons why I want to live the life that I want to live. They showed me there's something good to live for.
Yes,
That's that was a hard lesson, but it was a great lesson.
kids and dogs.
Yeah, you're
Kids and
right. Kids and
dogs.
dogs. They can't do that to you. They can't do that to you. Uh, so that's something that it makes me want to ask because I've seen a lot of your art and I've seen that there's a multitude of different styles, but there's still always a level of realism in there. And to me, to be able to replicate to that kind of level where it literally looks like a picture, not a painting. That's impressive. I mean, how long have you actually been painting and how much work did it really take to get to that kind of a level?
I don't feel like I'm at that level yet. I'm very flattered by that level of flattery, but I think that my style is definitely I finally have figured out my own kind of thing. But gosh, there's just so many. Every time I think I'm getting better, I see somebody that's just really, really, really like a master at it, and I realize how much farther I really truly have to go. But I also don't take away from how far I've gotten. In the last 2 years, I've sold almost 250 paintings.
That's no small feat, man. That's
You have to paint those.
funny how that happens.
Yeah, funny how that happens. It's not that you just get to, and I don't, because I understood that whenever I first started, that I was as amateur as an amateur artist can be. I have always kept my prices at a very, very reasonable place because I never felt like I deserved to get that big payday for art until I started getting better and saw myself getting better and earned it, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm finally at a place where I can, charge more and I get paid more to do these commissions. And it's only because I've got to a place where I'm actually maybe occasionally painting something I might hang in my own house.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything I do is so personal to everybody else. You know what I mean? I wouldn't hang most of it in my own house, but it's because it's not personal to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, that's always been the thing for an artist is when you do commissioned work and not your own work. Even though you're doing commission, you still get to see your style, your heart, your passion.
Yeah.
But like you said, you're making somebody else's dream in a sense. You just
I love whenever they are fulfilled and they get what they wanted. That's amazing to me. It's a wonderful feeling. Van Gogh sold one painting his whole life when he was alive, so I'm not under any type of delusions of like how lucky I am to be able to make money selling art.
right. There's not too many people who can say they actually can do that.
Right, but I'm also, I keep my paintings are like in the hundreds, not in the thousands. You know what I mean? Like I don't. I'm under no grand illusion that I'm some master that needs to be paid $20,000 for a painting yet. Yet.
Yes. Right.
That'll happen after I'm dead.
That's usually how it happens.
That's how it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Maybe my kids will reap the benefits of it. That'll be wonderful.
there you go.
That'll make me happy.
Yeah, you know what? And I think that says something because I think any true parent is trying to leave not just a legacy behind, but leave behind security,
Yeah.
safety.
Well, my parents were not able to do that. They were always hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck. And I just want to be able to. I really want to be able to do that for my kids. I don't want to. I think there's a limit also, because money can make people like I can't wait till the old bastard dies. I don't want him being like that either. But so there's a limit. But I also it's just as a parent, you want to make sure that you always leave something behind for your kids and your grandkids and stuff if you can. Make their
Yeah,
lives a
man.
little easier than yours was, you know.
Heck yeah. To me, it's because it's been, I'm getting close to 50 at this point.
You're a pup.
Dude, I'm like 4 years younger than you. Um, but as I've gotten basically at this point, really starting to realize that life is supposed to be enjoyed. You're not supposed to just go through it with the construct, with the rules where you go to work, you get a paycheck, and then you die. It's like,
Humans have done some
no.
really weird things, man. And as far as like the animal kingdom goes, I mean, we've taxed ourselves into like, like silliness and like the things that like the humans focus on, and then the pounding ourselves into a working oblivion until we're so old that when we retire, we can't enjoy life at that point, other than taking a bus with a bunch of other old people to Florida, maybe doing like
or Atlantic City or something.
Atlantic City, sitting at a
Cape
freaking
May.
sitting there all day long, pulling that thing over. I just want to become one of those idiots. Or one of these old people that just lives in their garage and smokes cigarettes and drinks alcohol all day.
Oh,
Starts
Bobby,
talking like
baby.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know who I was back in the day. I used to be somebody.
Yeah, Barbara and her cigarette and fucking the one-armed bandit,
Yeah, man.
the penny slots and shit.
That type of fate is just as, much of a nightmare to me as winding up in a box behind a computer all day making money for other people,
Bro.
working in a cubicle. I'm knocking the people that work in cubicles. Everybody has to do what they do. I would lose my mind.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Like The Office. I mean, I would truly go bonkers.
Boy, yeah. No, like
know?
the movie The Office where that one chick's just like, sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays. I would knock that bitch out. Sorry
I
to
would
tell
have
you.
Mondays the case of the Mondays every day, man.
Dude, that's all it would be.
Yeah, it would be so depressing knowing that other people are getting wealthy and that you don't have really like a chance to really like advance and for other people to decide your fate. So that's why I do the things like teach and do art. And so I'll never let, especially Hollywood, decide my fate, Like I'm never going to let other people control
Yeah, no.
my
Fuck no.
future for me and
Not
my
gonna
ability
happen.
to provide for my kids or limit me to the example that I can set for my kids.
So I didn't go to college until I was in my early 30s, right? And I'm taking this business ethics course. And my professor told me something that I thought, like, this was one of the first lessons where I heard somebody say something. I was just like, holy fuck, that's a really good point. He taught me is no matter what the situation is, you always have the same three choices. I'm like, dope, let me hear this shit. He's like, well, you can either deal with it, just accept it for what it is, let it be. You can try to change it, whatever that means, put some sort of effort, thought, any kind of action towards it to make it different. Or you can just fucking walk away from it. It's like, dude, that's literally those are the only three choices in this world. You can either just be like, all right, it is how it's going to be. Or you can be like, well, you know what? Maybe we can do it like this. Or you can just be like, nah, fuck this. I'm going to go do my own shit.
Well, I think it's the wisdom of aging as well when you realize that, most of the like dumbasses that you're gonna have to deal with in the world are I learned to stop taking things so personally because everybody's on their own journey and their own thing and living in their own thing. And so things that I used to personalize, I realized that people are just like, it's not about me. It's they woke up on the wrong side of the bed today or they're dealing with something at home, people that lash out suddenly and kind of stuff like that. I started realizing, oh, they've got something going on. That's not about me.
Well, yeah, that dude that cuts you off in traffic and then flips you off and calls you an asshole. It's just like, bro, what did I do? You know what? He probably just got cut off and somebody called him an asshole about 2 lights back and now he's getting somebody else. Like, you don't know.
Yeah, it's certainly not worth personalizing it and chasing them down and causing a road rage incident. And
You ever read the book, The Four Agreements?
I have not.
Oh, this is an amazing book because there's actually a part in there where it's make no assumptions and take nothing personal. That's the same scenario, both of those in the same thing.
Everybody's doing their own thing, man.
They're not thinking about you.
They're not thinking about you, man. That's what saved me as an actor whenever I was younger from being, because I was in my shell, and a producer came over and was like, dude, you think all these people are staring at you? They're not. They're thinking the hair person's looking at your hair, the wardrobe person's looking at your wardrobe. They just want to go home at the end of the day. They're not judging you. They're not staring. And I was like, oh, I felt like the shackles released. Like all of a sudden I could come out of my shell because I was being too in my head and thinking, that I was being judged by all these people, but it was keeping me from being the actor that I could be because I was shackling myself to that overthinking.
Yeah.
I was young,
Yeah, man. But that's what being young is for. To me, it's the best time to fuck around, find out.
Yes.
Just try shit, but be
we
willing
learn,
to
that's how we
accept
learn most
it.
of the things.
Yeah, no, I mean that's how. Yeah, no, agreed.
That's how we learn most of the things.
My big place in life that I've really gotten to is death of the ego. Just fucking let that shit go, man. Like I think I'm a pretty dope human being, and I'm allowed to tell myself I'm a pretty dope human being, but that doesn't mean I have to act like that. I don't have to put that air on and throw it out to anybody else or expect anyone else to think that. I can think that all I want of myself and just leave it at that. There's no like, oh, well, I did this and you owe me that, or, because I'm like, it's like, no, dude.
I think one of the most life-altering, sort of humbling things that have ever happened to me was when I've had my ex-girlfriend tell me that I was a narcissist. And I was like, what are you talking? I am not.
How dare
you? And then started like learning about what a narcissist is. And I was like, oh shit, man.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm a narcissist. I can't be that.
Dude.
And so I have to kill that part of, I got to kill that part of my ego. Bro. Because that is a very, very, very toxic human characteristic.
Extremely. I mean, it doesn't just affect you; it's everything around you.
Oh yeah, it's like poison.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
it's very toxic.
I was raised in that fashion, so I became that without realizing. That's why I said it's like, dude, I've done and said some shit in my day.
Yeah, we have to learn. We have to learn to sort of rise above those things, but like it takes a while because it's normal at first. When we're young, that kind of sort of chaos and stuff like that seems to be normal because that's what we grew up around. And
you're literally habituated
until you get somewhere else in the world where you see normal people interacting on a normal basis, and you realize, oh, I do that doesn't that we don't have to live like that. That was a choice. Oh, that was a choice. And then that's a whole other revelation and like sort of trip to the psychiatrist, because then you're like, they were doing that on, like they had a choice not to be like that and they were like that. That's weird.
And our parents were raised by their parents who were raised by their parents.
I know, but like I was raised by my mom, and the things that she did to me, I will never do to my children. See, I made the choice to not do that. And so why couldn't she, right? And so those are the things I struggle with. I'm severely like cognizant of like my behavior to my children and their reaction to me. And, I don't want my kids to fear me.
Agreed. And that's the thing to me is all our parents wanted was a better life for us, just as we want for our kids, right? And that's how they knew to do what they did. And if you think about it,
my mom's a throw them in the pool kind of learn, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Throw them in the pool and let them learn how to swim type of person.
That's literally how I learned how to swim.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, if that was what they wanted was for you to be a better parent, to be a better person, I mean, that's kind of what you did. So that's why I'm like, I can forgive my parents in that regard because they did the best with what they could.
Yeah. Well, what you realize is that they were just they were learning as they went, because I'm learning as I go still, and I'm 53 years old. And
that's why
that's why I was able to forgive.
Yeah.
So they were 19 when they had us.
Yeah.
So, I go back and I think of a lot of the things, and I'm like, God, she was still trying to figure it out too, and she did come from an abusive household. And so, I think maturity also comes with ability to forgive and get past grudges and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not super close to my family, but I love all of them. I just don't need to be around them all the time.
I know, right? Yeah.
It's good to see them every decade or so.
I mean, dude, I have yeah, right. No, we so 99.999% of all my family lives West Coast. They're all Cali kids.
Mm.
It's only a few of us that are out here. I mean, there's three of us out on this coast, and the three of us get together for dinner pretty much every week, at least
that's
once.
wonderful. That's great.
Beautiful, bro. I love family dinner. It is one of my all-time favorite things to do.
Yeah.
And we don't do anything special. It's just us. We hang out. It's just, but you
It's
know,
great that it can just
I'll
be
go
that.
see the rest of them out in Cali
Right.
sometimes.
Right.
Like it's actually been, I think, about a decade since
I
I've been
love my
out.
family, don't get me wrong. And I just, most of them are in Oklahoma, so I have to travel far to see most of them. But, my immediate family are.
Face says it all, bro.
Yeah.
Face says we're good.
They're yeah, man. You can pick your family, which is another lesson I've learned is that you can pick your family. And the people I surround myself now with are just good, loving, hardworking, good people. And so I don't have to worry about that toxicity bleeding over and poisoning my life. And we can all just help each other grow, I think that's a valuable thing too, is that we, if the people that we're born into, having to spend time with, like family, are the ones that bring you down, then,
That's a good
we
point.
get to, as adults, choose how much of that we ingest, right?
Yeah, man. I can't agree with you more that you get to choose. And that's the thing for me is, so pretty much everyone that's surrounded by me is either my literal immediate family or it's friends I've had for 20, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And that's all I hang out with. I mean, there's very few people. I mean, like our dude Oscar, I've only known him for maybe 5, but he's one of my guys because there's certain people I meet that I'm just like, you're my people, and I keep you around me.
That's why I'm here. I knew it as soon as I met Oscar, man. We clicked on that spiritual level, and I was very impressed with what he's doing with his life and how far he's come in his life. His story is amazing, and it's very inspiring. And I was like, that's the type of person I want to be around. That's the type of person that I want to share thoughts and stuff with. Him and Jen, his girlfriend. We all are a good team, man, because we all have the same goals, and nobody gets in front of anybody else and needs to be
There's
the
no ego.
center of attention by any means. We're all like, like
You're
the three
bringing
amigos.
art to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The three amigos.
Yeah,
Fuck
man.
yeah.
Doing with our, with Tortugas, the restaurant we're opening. It's just been all of us collaborating. My art is on the wall, but I also get to help with all of the food and all of that stuff as well, and just the way that I'm helping Jen devise how to just keep the flow going and keep the stations from colliding behind the back there and stuff like that.
The literal orchestration.
Exactly, the orchestration.
Yeah.
Because it's important. I mean, it's a dance. It truly is a dance.
Well, that was the thing is when they first went to do that, the two of them came to me and they're like, "Hey, you're a restaurant guy. Help us out. This is what we're thinking. Come in, tell
we're
us what
open to all advice."
Well, so when I came in, the whole reason why the layout is the way it is because I told them, I was like,
Killer.
well, one, this is how it's going to have to be probably for your utilities. But 2, we're also talking about workflow and you want to have enough space for the customers and da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So this was months and months and months of they'd go do stuff, get the plans, draw. I mean, I remember when I come in the one time and I was like, all right, let's take a roll of tape with us. And they're like, why? I was like, trust me.
Yeah, you just mark out.
Came in and literally just marked it out on tape. I was
Beautiful.
like, here's what you're looking at.
Perfect.
How much more space do you have? And they're like, holy shit. Yeah, now we start to pick and choose the equipment we need, but we got to pick the menu. We got to have the setup. You got to, once you do that, it tells you what it's supposed to be and where it's supposed to go.
Absolutely right.
You just got to listen to it,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's why I'm here, I think the universe gives us these opportunities, and it's like that game Dragon's Lair. It's like, do you push left or do you push right? Like, you take this path, this one, but you got to make the decision quick.
Yeah, choose your own ending books, right?
It is a choose your own ending book. Life is a choose your own ending book. And we truly thoughts become things. One of the coolest little things happened to me when I was traveling up here, and I stopped somewhere, and I believe it was Virginia, to sleep for the night. And this young African American man, kid, really, probably straight out of high school, maybe first year in college or something, was sitting behind. It was like 2 a.m. He was sitting behind the desk, and to check people in. And after, he was really sweet and had a great smile. It was really nice. And then after he checked me in, he said, "Can I ask you something?" He said, "If you could give me advice as a young person, any advice in the world, what would you give me? What would you tell me?" And I was like, oh, profound. Wow. I was so impressed that this young man even wanted to even pick my brain on that. And he was sincere, you know?
That's beautiful.
And I told him, I said, well, first of all, thoughts become things, you know? And then I said, you get what you give, you know? The universe gives back to you if you put the energy into it, but you got to put the energy into it. If you sit around and wait for life to happen to you, it's not going to, man. But also, if you're bad, you're going to get bad. It's,
Yeah, negativity begets
exactly
negativity.
right. And we're also only as good as and then my last thing I told him, I said, you're only as good as the company you keep, right?
Facts.
And that's why I've learned to make sure that I keep the company of non-toxic, driven, moral people.
Fuck yeah.
That want to see me do good.
Bro.
And that, because the people that I thought are are supposed to be my closest family and friends, they become jealous whenever I do good. They don't tell me congratulations. They're not happy for me. All they do is boohoo and lament their own life because they sit around and wait for life to happen to them.
Yeah.
And so I just don't have energy for that anymore, man. And I don't ever want my kids to see that's the type of an example of a person to emulate,
It's so, and this is my big thing about understanding the way life works is there's yin and yang to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so as much as I don't want to be that, I'm a believer that has to exist in order for me to exist. And I have to accept it for that. So while I don't want it, I can at least appreciate it and say, you know what, that needs to be here because there has to be balance in the world. There has to be the ups, the downs, the black to the white to the whatever.
If everything was golden all the time, you wouldn't appreciate the golden times, right? I honestly, when Oscar and I have had this conversation a lot, like I feel sorry for kids that are born into extreme wealth because they can have anything they want and they never really know how to, they don't really know how to like long for anything and dream because they can have anything they want. And that is genuinely why so many of them become drug addicts and just, nothing. They just lazy. They do nothing because they've never had to, and they've never had to dream. And God,
Dude, that's sad.
That's sad to me, man.
Yeah.
Listen, man. I mean, I know from personal experience. I know people that are billionaires, and I saw what that did to their children. I mean, one of them, he's had a lot of kids, and a nice percentage of them have died from drug overdoses. So, money doesn't mean happiness.
No.
It's what we do with our time when we're here. We've got one spin around this thing that we know of. And so what's our legacy going to be, right? What are we going to truly leave behind? And I just want to make sure that whenever my kids talk about me, that it's, it's in good, it's good stuff. It's motivating stuff. It's whenever they tell their children about their dad, that they say good things, and my grandkids are going to be able to look up to me and that kind of stuff. That stuff's important to me, man. Legacy does mean something because we really are only here once that we know of. I mean, that we know of, but I just, I want to make all of the young mistakes I've made in my life make sense now and be worth it, right?
Yeah, well, because being mature doesn't mean that you have to learn the lesson right away. But if you can pull from something that happened and learn that lesson, that's also a way to forgive and let go.
Yeah. Well, I've had to do that for myself, I've had to do it for my family and issues. But I've had to do that for myself, to realize that, gosh, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have learned this lesson, and maybe I would be still screwing up and making stupid decisions. But because of some dumb decision I made 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I don't do that anymore now.
Yeah.
And so it saved me now.
Yeah.
But, so I guess, it's, if you, listen, man, I don't know about religion, but I know that karma is real, and I know that the universe is listening, and we are manifesting our own destinies, and
you can literally speak it into fruition.
Exactly right. And negative thoughts become that negative life. And it really has taken me almost this long to really have that sort of level of enlightenment, to go, wow, really, it really truly is just about good energy and keeping good energy around me, and making sure that I always try to affect people's lives positively and never hurt anybody, never do anything that's going to come back to me karmically.
Yeah, because I personally have found that when you put that shit out there and it finally does come
back,
it fucking hurts.
Yeah.
It's stupid hurts, man.
You get what you give, dude, and it usually comes back compounded. It's usually
yeah, big time.
Yeah,
but tenfold plus. It's just that shit hurts.
And then when you realize, like, oh gosh, I probably I probably deserve this. That's the worst reality. Oh, and you're like, oh God, I deserve this.
Yeah, it's the stupid tax.
What was I thinking?
But to me, that's that spot where it can remind me of, like you were just saying, I had to do that for me to learn this, and now I feel even better about myself.
Right.
I love myself that much more. I love what I'm doing, what I'm creating, what I'm putting into this world.
Yeah.
I'm giving back, and I feel good about that.
It took me a long time, but I finally like the dude who I am. I like who I am. I wasn't able to say that for a long time.
I feel you, bro.
And I think that it's important for our children to see us in that kind of a light.
Yeah, because if you want them to love themselves, you got to do it for yourself.
Exactly right.
Lead by example.
Exactly right. And don't let them see the world defeat me, because then they're going to think that the world is a lot harder to navigate than what it is. Because the world is very navigable. It really, truly is.
Yeah, it is.
Opportunities abound. In America especially, even with all the nonsense that we deal with here, there's, if you want to be something, you can be it, And my sons are both incredible people. They're both highly intelligent, and they're both very capable of taking care of themselves, But I want to just, make sure that I'm not a source of trauma for them. I would never be able to forgive myself, I would just never be able to forgive myself.
Yeah. I think that's a good spot. If you want, we can take a quick break, because when we come back, killer. I want to dig into how you're all about some Egypt shit, and I love pyramids stuff. Like, I want to talk that.
Yeah.
I want to get right into it, bro. Let's talk fucking Egypt.
Oh, Egypt.
What is your, because everybody's got, if they're into Egypt, they're into different parts of it, either like the culture or the pyramids or combination, like, there's different ways. So what's your thing with Egypt? Like, what's your fascination?
My fascination is forgotten technology.
Oh, yes. Oh, I fucking love you.
It's how did they build that stuff? How are they able to accomplish the things that they were able to accomplish? It's fascinating to me, and it makes clear to me that everything we were taught growing up is absolute bullshit, complete nonsense. Like civilizations before us were so much more complicated and so much more intelligent than people want to think. Everybody's got this elitist thing about how everybody behind us was primitives and all of that stuff. It's no different than the Romans thinking everybody that wasn't Roman was a barbarian. It's stupid. The things that people were able to accomplish, even 10,000 years ago, with Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe and all of these places that would have taken armies of people to be able to accomplish. And it's all so mathematically perfect, and
dude,
it's just
the precision,
the artistic, like all of this. I mean, Kuyu, like all of these places.
Dude, there has to be a reason. There's too much of a
Yeah.
consistency that it's not
Yeah.
coincidence.
And I've had enough experiences in my life. I've had especially three very, very profound experiences in my life that have made me realize like that there's something else besides what we just have here. There's something else. There's something else after death. I'm not sure what it is, but my brother and I did see a ghost together. But more than anything, like I've seen a UFO, man. I saw a legit UFO. I know that there's stuff that we don't know. There's stuff that we don't have answers for.
Bro.
And to think that we do or that we ever will in our own lifetimes is probably just
Yeah.
just wishful thinking. But I don't know how civilization would react if we did find out for real. Right now, they're telling us that aliens are real, and everybody's like, yeah, whatever. Gas is high, so yeah, whatever.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and to me, that's one of the things that cracked me up because, like you're saying, dude, there had to have been some level of intelligence that we're not giving to the past.
There's a lot. I mean,
Because, dude, nowadays it's just like, oh, it's this, that, and the other. You can't explain any of it. Got to be aliens. No,
to me, it's insulting as hell.
it's a scapegoat.
The whole my son and I watch Ancient Aliens because I love seeing like a lot of just sort of the theories that they like bounce, but they also show all of these great places with all of this amazing stuff that you have to question how did that happen, right? But to just always attribute it to aliens to me is taking away from every civilization's intelligence and actual capabilities.
Agreed.
To say they were all too barbaric to be able to pull something off like that. Well, the proof is in the pudding. They clearly did it, right?
Right?
Humans clearly did it somehow.
Something did it. And, whether it was this one possibility of a culture or terrestrial, extraterrestrial, I don't really give a interdimensional, like, dude, there was intelligence that has been on this planet several times over.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're not giving any of that kind of credit to any of that. It's just like, no, it had to have been like this. And it's like, bro, there's so many more.
All you have to do is see the mask, the golden mask that was on Tutankhamun's. And whenever they opened his tomb up and that just amazing golden mask and just the level of artistry and chemistry and all of the alchemy, everything that it takes to do something that amazing that an artist today would struggle to accomplish with all of the modern technology that we have. And it's the same thing with all of these megaliths and stuff like that. Even with our modern technology, we would struggle to build a pyramid the way that they
not only struggle, but we couldn't also do it to the precision that they did.
Not a chance. I think that to me, I say Egypt, and I'm fascinated with Egypt because of like not only that, and I do realize that it wasn't quite so much of a desert back then. It was a little more green, but still, though, it is a desert-dwelling empire, and they were able to accomplish unbelievably amazing things. So not only is it the technology, but just the hardiness of the peoples, the things they were able to accomplish with the little bit that they had. It's mind-blowing.
Because you've heard of the Baghdad battery, right?
Yes.
Super rudimentary clay pot
Figured out
with
some citrus and some copper, and you got some
anode, cathode. Boom! Now you got positive, negative. Here you are. It makes it its own.
Some vinegar, some lemon. They all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just would love to. I've often said, I used to think that I would want to go back to like Victorian times or something like that, but I don't think that I'd be able to tolerate the smells.
Right.
That would be really. I think people underestimate the funk of everything around you, from the from the horse shit and mule shit everywhere.
Literally.
But people didn't bathe. They, it was just funk, and they, threw
You'd have deodorant
feces into the streets, and
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think that it would have been a very smelly time. I feel like the Egyptians were a cleaner society. I don't know. Who knows? It's still funky.
I like your theory. That's sound logic, my
We'd
friend.
hop out of the like time machine and just be like, "What the hell?
I know. Let's go back.
Whoa, whoa!" So, yeah, even a beautiful woman could come up to you and open her mouth with like 4 teeth and be just funky, funky. She's like, "What are you talking about? I got my monthly bath. I took every 6 months we take a bath."
Oh my God. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, no.
No, I see. My biggest thing. So, have you ever heard of Christopher Dunn, the scientist and researcher?
I don't believe so.
So, Christopher Dunn has theorized how the Grand Pyramid could actually be a power plant. Like, it's
I
the
do.
physical
Yes, I
structure
do
of
know
it.
that theory. Yes.
So that comes from Christopher Dunn. He's the one
Yeah.
that did research on it back in the 80s and theorized with the different quartz and the different tunnels and how with I think it was hydrochloric acid and hydrated like iron or something or
They
zinc,
found.
and you mix the two and
Yeah.
it makes hydrogen gas that allows for the system.
So,
to
what do
start.
you feel the benefit would have been for that?
So this is where I get into the fact that there's all these other pyramids just like it, and all the obelisks and all these other things that are all made from this quartz that can resonate. It can function with energy. So when we say energy, we automatically assume electronic energy, meaning like powering things, blenders and shavers and, mowing equipment, whatever.
Yep.
Doesn't necessarily have to be that kind of energy.
Yep.
There's tons of different other kind of energies. And if these quartz can resonate, carry on, almost be like I call them Wi-Fi extenders in a sense. So if the Grand Pyramid pumps out this energy that comes from the earth that it's basically harnessing, then all of these other quartz towers are basically just building a power like grid across the entire globe. I don't know what that energy is for per se, but I feel as though that's what it was doing. It was a part of a literal worldwide grid of whatever this energy was that it was producing. And that was just one of probably many things that it could do.
I guess, my question to that would be like, because back then there was no such thing as the internet. Societies were very far separated from each other, on different continents and stuff like that. And so how were they building the same type of pyramids in Teotihuacan that they were doing in, India, and all of these amazing places over, that all have like the same sort of similar structures, the same, like how did they communicate all of that back then? Because it does seem that way because there are like obelisks and stuff all across the globe that seem like they're all on the same like sort of like
Ley lines.
ley lines and stuff like that. And so there's something to it. And that's what I'm talking about. There's forgotten technology that I just want to know. That's what I'm fascinated about, because I know that there was something else way bigger than what we can imagine and fathom. But just like the Sasquatch, why aren't we finding Sasquatch bones? Why aren't we finding more evidence of all of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's there, but like if you look at the hieroglyphs and stuff like that, you don't really see them going into like that. There aren't any hieroglyphs that show the pyramids shooting some beam of light out of it or something. There's nothing that backs that up, but because I know that theory, but it would be cool if it did. But what do they do with that, right? So then what do you do with that energy?
So I have a theory about that. And I mean, because you had a couple of questions in there and I got all of them on this. So going back to Plato's writings about when Atlantis existed, pretty much just before the last ice age thaw, the deluge, as they would call it, the Younger Dryas period. I feel as though the pyramid was built prior to that. I don't know how much, but it was done by a society that the Atlanteans are terrestrial. They're of this earth, and they were a very advanced civilization. I feel like these cats, this was a part of something that they had built, because I don't know if you know this, but they said they'd done some like ground penetrating radar, and they've used LiDAR and a few other things to corroborate that there's 2 kilometer plus deep columns underneath the Grand Pyramid. It itself is basically a giant obelisk, and the pyramid is just the tip. So if you think that there's all this sand that is out there in, Egypt and
Well, they
whatnot,
revealed the Sphinx that way.
so I feel as though when the grand thawing happened and sea levels rose and when there were tsunamis everywhere, all of the sand that's there has been basically shoved on top of it because all the water rushed in. That's basically a mix of sand from desert and sand from ocean. And it's just like covered, because that's the thing, is the pyramid was partially buried. They had to dig it out. They had to dig all this stuff out. And then in digging it out, there's actually no door on the pyramid. They had to blast their way in to get into it. So my feeling is when the thawing happened and Atlantis was destroyed because the waters rose and washed them out, the little bits and pieces, because there had to be some survival of some of them, would explain why you have the same relative understanding of this technology or ability and would be able to build this power grid, because they'd be able to work with what they had there to make them. And they know, okay, well, I have to make it like this. This is the blueprint, but it doesn't have to look exactly like that. You can take the same ingredients and make a different cookie every time. Well, that's why they all have the similarities, but they're not exact. They're of what they had to do with what they had there. But they all worked together and made this power grid in a sense, because they were, maybe that was a protection of some sort, or, made the planet like homeostasis, like automatic balance. Like, I don't know what it was for in that sense, but there had to have been, there's too many coincidences that it's got to mean something. And that's why I'm like, dude, one, let's dig out the fucking pyramid all the rest of the way. But two, I want to know something. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we have the, we have the, like, we're lucky that we can theorize, right?
well, right.
Because just like religion and all this stuff, like, we don't know. But that's why I say I just would love to go back and have some answers, man. You know what I mean? I don't even have to live among the people and smell the smells. I just want some answer to the technology. That's literally I'm more fascinated by that. I think in Israel, under the where the Western Wall is and all of that stuff, like there's that, like where they say Solomon's temple was and all that stuff, is a giant monstrosity of a stone that was put into place that even today's armies working all together couldn't have moved it.
No.
And elephants weren't in that part of the country. Were they moving it with jackasses and goats?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's
so how did that get there?
I always forget the name of it, but I think there was a guy in Florida that worked with only stone, and he was able to do a lot of
coral. It was the Coral Castle.
Is it?
Yeah.
But he built like all these different stone structure and things all by himself, and nobody knows how he did it.
The Coral Castle. It's this Polish man who built, literally, he said he figured out how they built the pyramids, and he applied that same technology, and by himself was able to build monolithic size, gigantic coral structures and statues. And it's still there in Florida today. There's a door that it's this giant,
you just like push.
and you just push it like that, and it spins and opens. And this man did it by himself.
Like, dude,
this
right?
Little tiny Polish man. So he figured it out. So there's something. So I'm saying there's technology that we just have not been able to tap back into and figure out. And it's, I think that it has to do with resonating.
I was just going to say that, bro.
Tapping into vibrations that exist on like radio waves and all of the other things that we have to, that we can tune our own, selves into a vibration, and a specific vibration, right?
So that's what I always say is we're just all a bunch of molecules that vibrate to solidify this physical structure. Yeah. It makes the skin, the blood cells, they're all just molecules.
Have you ever seen sand on top of a speaker that like changes?
Yeah.
It makes the difference. Changes, and all of a sudden it becomes perfectly symmetrical structures. It's all geometrically perfect, but it changes with everything every time a different beat hits. we're no different. The blood cells, our cellular structure is responding to waves of vibrations the exact same way. And I think that's, cancers can be caused by negative vibrations, but they can also be cured by positive vibrations.
Yeah, dude, there was a Japanese doctor that actually did a water experiment where he had water that only had nice things said about it, like either happy or love or joy. And when you would look at that water, when whatever the word was, you would put that in there. But he also had like hate and murder and all of these other super negative things. When he looked at the water on the positive, well, he would crystallize it and look
Probably
at it
far
under a
more
microscope.
alkaline.
Well, it was these pristine, beautiful snowflake, like geometrical, just everything. There was perfect symmetry. They were just beautiful. And then any of the negative ones came out, they literally looked like cancer cells.
Yeah, chaos and
Chaos,
it's
erratic,
it creates
and
an acidic environment. It becomes less alkaline. It and opens up the vibrations of your cellular structure to be more vulnerable to being damaged. And it all Oscar has this cool tuning fork thing that he hits, and just it's sort of and just you can just feel it's like the resonance from it, and then you feel better after you do it. I mean, it really it's almost like you're tuning yourself
yeah.
with back into the vibrations of the earth and stuff like that. I don't try to get too hippy dippy with it. I just know what I've experienced in my life and the things that I've seen to become true.
Yep.
Right, and the things that I know transcend bullshit things like religion and stuff like that.
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more on any and all of that. To be able to think for yourself and know because you've seen, you've witnessed.
Yeah.
Because to me, the scientific method is great because we can prove things, as they say. We can call them factual because they have a high probability of existence if you go by these constraints. That's like saying, hey, if you do this in this fashion, you get a cookie. Okay, great. So you're always going to get a cookie. It may not be the same exact cookie, but it's always going to be a cookie. Okay, that's a fact. It's like, who cares? When you take it for face value, when it literally happens to you, when you witness it, and more than once, there's a pattern and a consistency in that it's like, you can tell me what you want, but I'm pretty sure
The universe is trying to tell me something right now. I better listen to it this time.
Absolutely.
We don't always catch it the first time, but if
yeah, no shit.
at least catch it the second time, because it's going to stop throwing you some softballs. You're going to start getting curveballs only, fast pitches. It just
it never gets easier. You just learn to go
learn
with
to
it.
navigate it, and you learn to more than anything. I think that I learned to listen to it and watch for the signs, and whatever door is opening at that moment, that's that tells me if I'm on the right path or not. You know what I mean? It's like if that door is opening or or door is closing. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But I still, as far as all of this, Atlanta stuff and
I have no clue if it's any of it's real.
Literally as it's much of a fairy tale as anything else. So it also means it could be just as real as anything else. It's all theoretical.
Absolutely.
We're just guessing, right? What we do know is that there are some crazy things that happen, man. Like I said, my twin brother and I, we saw a ghost at the same time on our old farm. I've seen something that was clearly a UFO, and I almost died in a lake and was rescued by something that I can only say had blonde hair that went in front of my face, and I was lifted up to the surface of the water and was rescued by something in the water. I don't know what it was, because there was nobody around us or with us that had long blonde hair that could do what this thing did. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, the whole. We'll have to do this again, and I'll get into the whole story. But I just know that there's other things out there, man. All we have to do is people ask if there are aliens here, right? Jump into a submarine and get into the ocean and look at the things down there.
Just an octopus by itself.
There are aliens here.
Yeah, it's a fucking octopus.
A freaking squid, or a cuttlefish. Look how they communicate. You know what I mean? Any phosphorescent algae, all of those phytoplankton, and all of the things that do these amazing things that glow like lights that,
And without sunlight too, so it's like where they
without
get this
sunlight.
supposed energy,
Yeah.
like it breaks a lot of our understanding of how our world works.
Anglerfish and all of these crazy things. Those green sharks that live to be 500 years old, you know? It's amazing. There's a turtle, Jonathan, that's 200 years old.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you get the people talk about how supposedly there was collected information that the rulers in the past were 1,000+ years old, 1,800 years old. Like you're going back to like Sumerian texts and stuff like that, and they speak of the rulers before them, and they tell their history. Yeah, that's totally possible.
You know what my theory on that is?
I would love to hear that theory.
Before a stat, you have to understand, like, time is a concept, and I don't say that just to be a hippie. I say it as a fact. Time is a concept. And so back 2,000, 3,000 years ago, they didn't have clocks. Time wasn't then what time is now. A day wasn't what it is now. A week wasn't what it is. They didn't think in those terms. And so when they say a year back then, that Noah or Moses lived to be 700 years old, I'm guessing there was more like 700 months old, and that they had
the translation's
that
off,
the translation gets lost, and also their idea of a year is so. It can be anything, right? Because it's not like they have real. They get up whenever the roosters start telling them to get up, and when the sun comes up, and they're all in bed at night because there's no electricity, and they're staying up to olive oil lamps and stuff like that as much as possible, but not a bunch of big nightlife. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right.
The seasons dictated, and you know what I mean, how long the sun stayed up and went down, and all of that stuff. That was their clock.
Yeah.
So it was like, how many maybe full moons did they live? Maybe because a lot of times they went by moons, right? The Native Americans went by moons. He lived many moons. So I think that in these translations of these things, whenever they start talking about, these people living 700, 800 years old, I do truly believe that.
But
There's no way before soap they were living longer than we live now.
Well, but so
I'm sorry.
The Sumerian tablets specifically spoke of rulers that existed for 1800, 1200, and it was spoken to them by the peoples because of the generations that had transpired while they had been.
Right, but do we not understand also that back then people were illiterate, and everything that anybody learned was a story that was told to them and handed down from generations before them? And have you ever played a game of telephone with just a classroom? That story is going to change.
I know.
So if you tell that first kid something and they whisper it and it goes around, by the time it gets to that last kid, that story is going to change a lot. And so all of mythology and history has mostly been verbally told, because really writing and stuff like that really is relatively new to the human race. I mean, in a time sense, right?
Yeah.
Most people have been illiterate.
Well, see, if you think going to one of the Mad Max movies where they have the crashed plane or whatever, and they're telling the stories through the fucking 80s, what the hell they call them, the flick things.
Yes, I love those things.
But going through one of those, and they're telling these, the viewfinders, and they're telling these crazy stories of what the past was, because that's what they have it to base it off of. And it makes me think of that. That's why I agree with you in the sense that most of this is just stories told around the campfire. It's generational of just information. And, but I also like to, if we can see these things as evidence, it could paint this picture. I love it to be just like a thought experiment, fancy, but what if?
What if is always fun.
Yeah,
I think,
but like you said, we get to do that. That's great.
I think that's a beautiful part about having like a good artistic mind, is that we can actually take that and expound on it and come up with something that is fun to share with other people around a fire, right? We are creative, just like they were creative, and they don't have a whole lot of outlets. And the entertainment back then was telling stories around fires, and you wanted those stories to be as good as possible, and so people would embellish and add their own little flavor here and there. And the victor always got to tell the story.
That's a big part.
The victor wrote history, and so most of what we've been taught where it was handed down because there was just the victors kept winning and kept telling their story and their side of the story, and that's what we learned because that's the only side of the story we got to hear
Yeah,
because
man.
that's the one that made it. That's the cream that rise to the top. Now, is it the most? Was it usually accurate historically accurate? Probably nowhere near
I mean, there was probably
the actual.
some
There's
truth in
some
there.
tidbits.
It was like the overall theme of what happened.
But like Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Let's come on, man. That's as basic as it gets, and there are still people trying to die on that hill. You know, and it's like, why? To what end? Why? How do you benefit by that man discovering this country in the 1400s? How do you benefit from that? Why do you
I still get that day
and it's
off.
because they don't want to believe that they were duped and lied to.
Oh, I would agree to that.
People do not want to feel like they have been, you know, they've had the blinds pull over their eyes. They don't want to feel that way. They don't want to feel stupid. It's a lot of reason why people won't give up their red hats right now. They don't want to feel that they've been duped, you know? And I don't blame them, but, you know, time keeps ticking whether it's a concept or not. It happens, man. We have no control over it. And so, you know, like I said, the chickens always come home to roost. The things that are going to, you know, the people. Just what we're dealing with in our society right now, you know, we're seeing all of these like people, these Icarus flying too close to the sun, people that are about to get their waxed wings melted and gonna start plummeting to the earth, and we're gonna all just sit around and say, I told you so. I told you this was gonna happen, you know. But you know, I don't want to get political.
Well, that's right. We don't do that here on this show.
Yeah,
So
I don't want to get political. I'm saying that as far as just paying attention to sort of what I allow to affect me anymore, you know, that kind of thing, and growing as a person, you know, because that's a big part of also the lessons that I've had to learn the last couple of years is not allow that stuff to affect me so much.
that seems to be the reoccurring theme of tonight's conversations. Which, I think that's probably
maturation. Have we matured? Is it time to become a man? Is it time to grow up? You know?
Yeah, man.
I keep telling this to my friends that just kind of refuse to do that. I'm like, at what point are you going to just accept that you're not a kid anymore, man? Being a grown-up isn't as hard as people act like it is. It's
shit.
It's the fighting it. It's the fighting it that's hard. That makes it hard. It's the you know, the adulting is too hard crew. You know, adulting is hard, but it's not
adulting is fun.
Adulting can also be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, I mean that's what I always say is, you know I got bills and I gotta pay them, but that doesn't mean that I can't have fun while I do it.
Exactly, and also being able to say that, you know, you were able to pay those bills. There's a very, very, very rewarding aspect to that.
Absolutely.
As a man, it's validation. You know, we want to be providers. We want to be the breadwinners, and being a breadwinner is very sort of satisfying to a man's soul. And being able to do that,
I think it's really just kind of ingrained in our DNA at this point. Like it really is.
It's a rite of passage kind of thing. You know what I mean? As primal as, you know, the primal thing in us is still just being the hunter gatherer and needing sort of, you know,
I can agree to that.
Provide and be that base of stability for our families and for ourselves.
Plus to me, just it's rewarding to see things come to fruition, no matter what they are. Like I set my mind to it and I make it manifest.
Absolutely right.
There's
nothing more rewarding. Good. Absolutely right.
Yeah. But that's what this world is very much about, being a part of that flow. Like you said, reading the signs, seeing it, but going with it so that you can be the best you, enjoy everything to the best you can. And because it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. So
if it was, you would stop paying attention to the rainbows.
Yeah. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like the people that live out by the ocean who stop seeing the ocean. You know, it's a sad fact of the human condition that the grass is always greener. We always blame everybody else for our own bad decisions. We're always overcompensating for insecurities. You know, our brains are always trying to kill us. And so, life is weird, man. You know, if aliens really are coming down and trying to like and diagnosing us, it's because they're trying to figure out why we're so damn weird.
I could agree to
And I wish
that.
they'd give us some damn answers. Glip Glop or whatever your name is that's up there
Bleep, Lord,
writing
bleep.
about all these probings you guys have been doing since the 1940s.
Why is it always anal probing?
You guys have been probing for a long time. You should have a good book now on the human condition, and we need to read it. We need to know what you know, because if you figured it out, please help us.
Oh God, please.
I'll never,
yeah.
people are so effing weird, but they're also amazing,
It's, to me, that's the dichotomy of human. We're very this and that, but we're also built in a construct that's of difference. It's time and space. Things were here and now they're over there. Well, that's time and space. So like the only thing I know is difference. That's all I've been habituated to. So if I don't have difference,
Yeah, we're just all these like little ACDC like band of free radicals that like are always it's up or down and always fighting against our own brain telling us to do things or not to do things or keeping us in from achieving because we convince ourselves that we're not capable or worthy, and I think that's the biggest tragedy of the human condition,
yeah, man.
too much self-awareness, but also only focusing on the bad things, I think it's weird that you can have a million good things happen to you in your life and 3 really, really bad things, and you'll remember those 3 bad things way more than you'll remember any of those millions of good things.
Yeah, as some, I mean, I very much enjoy the human condition. That's why I took up psychology when I went to school, and that's kind of one of my bigger questions that I always like to ask as well. So it's like, yeah, I get you, bro, because I'd like to understand for myself a little bit,
Right.
but
I think people are too hard. That's why you got to stop being so hard on yourself. I think people are too hard on themselves because we all have our own struggle. Everybody's doing their own thing to survive day to day.
dude, that's all it is.
The reality of what it truly takes to survive in this world is it's almost like too much to even like really acknowledge because it can be overwhelming. Life isn't easy, but gosh, we live in America. God, we could have been born into, some cave in Vietnam in 1964, and into war, or been born into like the Ukraine or someplace like that where we're dealing with real, true tragedy on a daily basis.
No shit.
Right?
Yeah, man.
And so I think
crazy
that we
how-
forget that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's important to be reminded that we really, truly are lucky to be here. As wacky as things are, we are lucky to be where we are because there are places in this world that are really, really bad, that are really, really, really bad.
And I mean, even like you said, I think sometimes we over focus on the fact that we do have free thought, but that's another whole thing about being human in that regard is our existence in and of itself to have free thought is next to
It's a
impossible.
miracle.
So yeah, it's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
To have even just that happen.
It's a miracle that we survived childbirth. It's a miracle that our mothers survived childbirth.
You're right.
It's a miracle that our specific parents met and that specific biology created us. All of it is, when you really get into it, is just as amazing as when you start thinking about how expensive the universe is, and be like, really, does it really just go on forever? Like,
Yeah, as far as we know.
what does that mean?
Yeah, right.
But what does that mean, right? And then what happens if it doesn't go on forever? When it stops? What's after that?
Yeah, and what does that mean?
And then what happens after that?
See, that's bro, you so get me.
So what, there are things that are bigger than us in this world. And understanding that and accepting it, I think, is what makes the world magical. Because it truly is a miracle every day that we wake up and we're above ground, not beneath it. And
We got to be grateful for that.
surviving, addictions and surviving, sicknesses and illnesses and overcoming financial woes and all of these like little struggles that life throws at us that make us better people are all these like strange like little gifts that we're given through the years that make us better people that hopefully we can then pass that down to our children without them having to go through so much hardship to get to that next level. But always asking myself, like, am I spoiling them too much? You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like I need my kids to understand, and they do that life isn't always easy, and you have to work for what you get, and they both want to be actors, but I can help them, learn how to act, but I can't make them movie stars, right? They have to be good actors. They can't just write on the name. They have to be good actors. And so, I'll get all philosophical with you all night, Phil.
I know, bro. It's all good, homie.
You should just call this philosophical.
I don't know. It's we got more content we want to make, and I got crazy names and stuff for it, but I can't say nothing about it 'cause patent pending. No. But yeah, brother, this has been an absolute amazing conversation. You said it earlier. We'll get into this later. Yeah, there's a lot more I think we're going to get into. Not even just on camera, but just in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
We always have good conversations. That's why I was like, bro, we gotta do this, because that's why when I brought up Egypt and you were just like, hey, I was like, yes, my man.
Yes.
Dude, I can watch
for
stage
just,
a
lot of people I think a lot of people would just say, because they think that it would have been, cool.
It's impossible to have happened.
Pharaohs and all of that stuff and all this stuff. But I'm truly more intrigued by the technology more than anything else.
Yeah. No, I want to know what, why, how, was it, could it, how, that's what
I mean, the kings and pharaohs were all they were all inbred, like people that were having sex with their family. I mean, there were
most of your reigning families in any culture were like that.
Yeah,
if you go back to the stories,
so it's not like you're going back to see a bunch of beautiful people. There were probably a bunch of
like
real,
four teeth and God, bro.
Yeah, it's a smelly, like weird jawed people. But I appreciate you having me, and I enjoy the conversation, and I will be back.
Absolutely. You want to give any shout outs to anybody? Tell the beautiful people at home.
Well, I definitely just want to thank Oscar Peralta and his lovely lady Jennifer for bringing me into their lives in Pennsylvania. Man, I've been able to become business partners with them and do all of these amazing other things. We've got the tree business, the stone business, and now we're about to open a restaurant, Tortugas. So I'm just getting to do all of these wonderful things because of them, and so I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for the friendships that I'm making with you, like you. I met you because of them. And I'm getting to live in the most beautiful part of the country now, up here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania now.
Dude, yeah. No, it's river life is it's very enjoyable.
It's spectacular here.
There's so much history. We can talk. We can talk and talk. But yeah, I appreciate you coming in as well.
I'll be back.
Yeah, agreed. I so many more good conversations, but fam, we appreciate you. Thanks for checking us out. And as I always end it with, be good to yourself, be good to everything else. Much love. It's a good spot to spot.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oscar getting some sleep and then
just relaxing.
How's it going so far?
Ready for the clap?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
You all right over there, Oscar? No, if you need to fall asleep. I'll drive back.
All right, bro. Ready for the clap?
Oh, yes. Watch it stop.
All right.
And slowly. That's fine. All right.
All right. And 1, 2, 3. Dude, I got a whole story about that. Trust me.
Nice. Cool. Because because I truly am. Have that was always been the like. Well, if that's true, what end?
Get the clap.
Who
And
used it?
1, 2, 3. So I have a. So this is my theory about all of this because there was a couple of questions in there. It's a good spot to break.
Okay. All right.
So speaking my language right now.
So
I
what?
appreciate you, but- all right,
hold on.
clap. And 1, 2, 3.
What is it that I said I was going to say the theory of?
Samaria.
Samaria. There was something else. Damn it. I hate whenever my brain. What was my thought? Let's keep talking about what we're talking about now, and I'll think of it again.
Oh, how the rulers back in the day, the Sumerian tablets talked about all the rulers previous to them.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Okay, I got you.
All right, ready?
So,
So yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the reoccurring theme for tonight's discussion conversation, which I think is probably the best way to
keeping a healthy mind. It's like, how do you keep a healthy mind and still stay in tune, right? So it's almost impossible. It's like the
I think we're about to pop.
wow, this thing really. Yeah, we should probably start wrapping it up too for tonight. Yeah, yeah.
And clap. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, brother.